Hello, everyone. This is Henny Espinosa with Just Wish Foundation. Today, we are joined by a young man from Sarasota, Florida, who is using his skills and talents to pay tribute to the men and women who served this country through the military and the men and women who worked on the front lines of the pandemics. I'm so glad to introduce to you Lorenzo Liberty of Heroic Flags and Give a Buck Foundation. Thanks so much for joining us on Just Wish Foundation, Lorenzo.
Thank you for having me, honey.
So, Lorenzo, tell us a little bit about your background. Has giving back always been instilled in you by your parents growing up?
Yeah. Born in New Jersey, Denville, New Jersey. Moved over here to this wonderful Sarasota, Florida around 7, 8 years ago. And ever since I was little, I can always remember my mother bringing us with our Catholic church to feed the homeless. And well, January of 2019 was no different. I found myself feeding the homeless with my Catholic church, Our Lady of the Angels, and my entire family. And it was there that I met a man who would change my life. It was there that I'd meet a veteran. It was there that I'd meet a war hero and a homeless veteran at that. And at the young age of 14, he changed my life forever.
So, what? Describe for us that moment that you that life-changing moment, if you will. What did you experience? What did you see? What did you hear from this veteran that really touched you?
Well, growing up as a young man in today's society, we see movies and video games and it's all about the military and it's hoorah, yippee-yi-yay, right? Like we win and it is what it is. And growing up watching Rambo, I always wanted to join the military. And when I finally met this hero, this homeless veteran, it really opened my eyes. And at 14, I knew nothing else but, we win at all costs. And, it's all, it's all a video game. We hit reset if we lose and that's it. And he really opened my eyes to the fact that one, not everyone makes it back.
Mm.
And two, even if you do, you still lost something.
Mhm,
And that's part of yourself,
mhm,
along with your brothers and sisters in arms, the same people grew up with and fight together and train together and do everything with.
mhm,
And so when I finally met this, Vietnam War veteran, I saw with the little communication that we had, again, this is a homeless man who has PTSD and could barely make out his sentence. I remember he was executing commands as if he was still in service to this day. And he could barely say, I barely say a sentence straight.
mhm,
And with all the commotion of obviously it's a homeless shelter, we're feeding other people, we're giving people blankets. But it was the silence that really impacted me.
mhm,
Uh, and it opened my mind to the idea that there's a big problem, that there's a war going on in our own territory in this United States. And I it's a country that I love and I'm willing to fight for in more than one front. And I feel like this homeless battle that's been going on for decades has got to end. And I feel like now more than ever, we finally really, really have a chance.
mhm, mhm. Let's talk about then your desire to help. So, before that, let's talk about kind of how you picked up this hobby or talent of yours of craftsmanship, of carpentry, of creating flags out of wood. How did that come about? How,
Yeah.
what gave you that idea?
Yeah. So at 14, carpentry isn't a very popular pastime, at least not here in Sarasota, Florida. But yeah, my sister was an artist, and growing up, I could never paint like she could. And so I started with music, and obviously, like I said, we're Catholic, and so we hear about Jesus, and he was a carpenter. And ever since I met that homeless veteran, he was always in my mind. Again, we go to school, we say the Pledge of Allegiance, and half the people are talking, but now it meant something and I wanted to do something. So a summer came around. My dad, a firm believer of getting stuff done and staying productive, was not going to let another summer go by with everyone just sitting on the couch watching TV and eating ice cream. So he decided, Lorenzo, I don't care what it is, but I want you to do like something during the summer, a little father and son project. And so I was scrolling through ideas on Google and I ended up seeing an ad that's like Go Army. Again, I was always searching up Army stuff, and that reminded me of the veteran. And so as I saw the American flag and Go Army and join today and really, and it said, make a difference.
Mhm.
And so I decided, okay, well, let's see what I can do with that American flag. I'm not a painter like my sister, but I'm sure willing to try. So I go into my garage filled with Nerf guns, and my little brother is out there and he's playing, and him and his friend are sword fighting with sticks of wood that we just have lying around. And it got me kind of thinking, like maybe I can try and do something. So I ended up grabbing a single sheet of plywood, and I ended up just drilling out using a router 13 stripes in the union, and I just stained it a little, and we came up with a basic flag. And from
Mhm.
there, trial and error, a lot of burns and a lot of messes. We ended up coming with something that I like to call the heroic flag, and it's 13 individual stripes of wood that's stained, carved, and put over 10 hours in just for a 3-footer.
Wow.
And yeah, it's gorgeous. It looks so much better in person. But yeah, that's how I really ended up coming up with the heroic flag, the idea of something handmade in the garage.
So
So
you felt when you looked at what you created, more than just being proud of that you created it, it represented for you, did it strengthen your sense of patriotism, your sense of, I gotta give something back to my country? Because it was a flag, essentially.
yeah, it was definitely more than just 13 strips of wood. It
Yeah,
was more
yeah.
than just a summer project. Like, sure, check it off. I did it, Dad. Can I not sit back down and watch Rambo for the 34th time? But again, remembering that homeless vet, everything changed. My perspective on this strips of wood glued together completely changed. And remembering that veteran, I had to do something.
Mhm.
And so that's when I had the idea that, well, my brother likes it so much and the garage is open, my neighbors see it, and they aren't too mad about me making so much noise. So maybe I can really give back to the community, give back to this homeless vet, this man that changed my life, and still to this day I look back on and I'm so grateful for the Lord that he was brought into my life and made such a lasting impact.
So what did you do with that first flag?
Yeah. And so that first flag, I was super eager. I ended up bringing it to Turning Points of Bradenton, a nonprofit here, which not only helps all homeless people, but has a yellow ribbon program dedicated to homeless veterans. And
Mm.
I ended up bringing it there with my dad, and we were kind of sitting in the lobby. We were like, hey, obviously we're not homeless, but I want to help, and I'm not sure how. And they're like, okay, sure. And they were really open arms and they brought me in. We were brainstorming ideas of what I can do. And I ended up going to a Christmas gala in 2019 to raise money and raise awareness for homeless veterans. And it was there where I ended up selling my first couple of flags. But my dad made sure that that first flag that I ever made was not only signed and numbered and dated, but is hanging in my room to this day. He would not let me sell it or give it away. And I love him. He is such an optimistic guy, because for
Yeah.
me, I didn't think I'd make it nearly this far. I thought I
Yeah.
was going to make one or two, maybe three, never hundreds of flags. So
Oh
yeah, it's
wow. So
in my room.
you've made now how many flags?
Yeah, it's all of them are numbered. Okay, so we have different sizes and different styles. So each different size and style is numbered. Uh, I can easily say there are over 200 red, white, and blues, over 200, yeah, of almost every flag out there. So easily hundreds, if not
Wow.
pressing the thousands.
That's a lot of hours, right? How many hours does it
Yeah.
take? usually on average to finish a flag?
Yeah. So again, different sizes, but a 3 foot, which is one of the main, especially the first flag that I ever created, originally took about 20 to 25 hours because again, it was really experimental and the tools that I had were limited. But now that I've kind of mastered the process of, okay, we're going to start a flag and here are the tricks that I've learned. It takes around 10 hours, 10 to 15 hours for a 3 footer now, which is again, not only much shorter, but it's much easier on me
Yeah.
and my schedule, thankfully.
And the biggest flag that you've made is how big?
The biggest flag I've made so far, and I say so far because I can still make bigger, is a 7 foot flag. Again, all of this is done in my garage and this very kitchen that I'm standing in, which my mother reluctantly lets me use during dinner time to paint these 7 foot, 3 foot, 5 foot, and mini flags. So.
Wow, wow. And so beyond the veterans, the and causes that involve the homeless community, I understand that during the pandemic you also took the time to really recognize the contributions of frontline workers. So tell us about that.
Yeah. So ever since I was born, really, my mother kind of stopped for a little working and started doing her own little projects, baking and these beach bags. But she was always loved the medical field. So she was always a medical assistant. So she went back to school and got back into it. She works now literally down the street, and there's not one day that goes by that she comes home from lunch and is like the same routine of talking about her day and hugging the dogs. But I really saw it firsthand because, again, I was at school. I really saw it firsthand during COVID. The world shut down and people like my dad already work from home, but me and my two other siblings, now we are at home and we're trying to kind of juggle the school thing. And I see my mother every day kind of come in and out of that door, and it doesn't get easier for her at all.
Yeah.
And that's when my dad and I kind of realized, like, there's so many people and so many needs. Everyone in the media is always talking about, oh, we need more vaccines. We're worried, and it's a scary time. So my dad and I kind of had the idea of let's honor my mother. And it all really started with honoring my mother and obviously the great people that she works with and the great hospital that she works with. And so I ended up making a 7 foot flag for the main hospital, Sarasota Memorial Hospital, as she works for a satellite of it. And so I made that 7 foot flag, and it's hanging in Sarasota Memorial Hospital. And that's when, just like I originally first created that flag, my dad's like, I think we can kind of do something more with this.
Yeah.
And we did. So we were brainstorming and we were talking, and it was late at night. I remember we were sitting on the couch and he had the idea. He was joking around. He's like, hey, Lorenzo, just imagine if, like, I don't know, we got you on like national news. And like, just imagine if we had a flag in every single state. And we were joking around and we ended up emailing some news articles. The next thing we knew, we were on national news.
Yeah.
And fast forward, and that was on August 4th. I was on Fox News. And that's when it really took off. Months later, not only did I get a flag in a hospital in every single state, 50 flags, 50 states, but I also was able to raise over $30,000 to give to homeless vets. So.
Wow. And that, I mean, if you just like kind of take a moment and just kind of ponder on really, let's start from that time that you were struck by what you witnessed, with a homeless veteran, and then that changed your life, and you decided to start with your first flag, and look how far you've come and how widespread this like movement has become, this movement of honoring and paying tribute to the people that really deserve it, by helping the people that need help, by really kind of strengthening that love for country. How do you feel, Lorenzo? Like, what sense of fulfillment do you have when you think about how far you've come?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a really good question. I never really look back and say like, oh yeah, like I did that. to be fair, I'm not gonna lie. Growing up, I was like, I was always kind of like dancing in parties with family and all that. But I wrote down when I first started these flags, my goals. That was like, I never thought I'd be able at that time. Again, I have it in a little notebook, my kind of dream notebook about this business. I never thought I'd make more than like 3 3-foot flags, five, minis. I never thought I'd sell one 5-footer. And I look back now and it's crazy, but in the end of the day, that $30,000, cool. It's a big number, yes. But in the end of the day, I realized when I gave it away and I saw the impact that sure, everyone patted me on the back, but there's still so much to be done. Like in the end of the day, yeah, but that was a dent in such a huge problem. One that I vowed that I'd fix, if not solve. So yeah, I guess maybe I don't know. I'm starting to change the world, and I'm not going to stop till I do.
So let's talk about that. You're saying more work needs to be done. I
Yeah.
understand that you guys just started a nonprofit organization called Give a Buck. So
Yes,
this has gone beyond one project that has
yeah.
gone big, and then now you guys decided to really, you know what, let's take this more seriously by creating this nonprofit organization. So tell us about it.
Exactly. So now, as you said, we have a nonprofit organization. And I say we because after that COVID, my entire family really got involved as we not only, of course, raised 30 grand, but we remembered that homeless veteran. And so we decided to create a 501c3 nonprofit called Give a Buck, whose main purpose is obviously to end veteran homelessness. Now, what is ending veteran homelessness? It's a big problem, veteran homelessness, with many complex parts. Again, some things that make a veteran homeless more than anyone else is obviously PTSD, which will cause, drug abuse, alcoholism. But the biggest thing is lack of housing, we realized after a lot of research. And so the VA, a great, association and organization, it does raise hundreds of thousands to billions of dollars a year for homeless veterans. So why have we been dealing with veteran homelessness for over 3 decades? And it really comes down to, again, that lack of housing opportunities. When it comes to the money, that money is split to all 50 states. And those states have to give it to their counties, and their counties to the districts and each individual nonprofit. And then they have to, after a long waiting list of veterans, have to meet face to face, each and every single one, vet them, and then give them that amount of money. And in the end of the day, that's not that much money. In fact, I've worked with nonprofits, again, one-on-one. So when I said I raised 30 grand, cool, it really only helped a handful of veterans, not permanently, finding a house. I'm saying it helped a handful of veterans get into a house for a couple of weeks to a month, and that's it.
Yeah.
And so it bears the question, is there hope? And the answer is yes. In fact, with that money, there's a lot of things you can do. It's just about how we use that. Again, like I said, it's kind of like a rain effect with that money. So the entire idea of Give a Buck is to privately raise that money. And instead of putting it in the 50 states and the counties and kind of trickling a little bit of money everywhere, we focus it on one thing. My sister is in college and I'm about to be. And so that's what Give a Buck is based off of, a college campus idea or a military base where they sleep all in one area. They are able to get their health that they need, job training that they need, all in one area. Because again, if you're homeless, you may not have a car. And not only that, in order to get help with the VA, you have to meet certain requirements. And there's just a lot of red tape with working with the government. I mean, taxes are hard to file when you have a house and all the know-how. And so the entire idea with that is they don't have to juggle the red tape. And they don't have to worry. And PTSD, again, a big issue. Why isn't it going to be so hard to deal with and solve? Because when you put a whole bunch of people together, it's not a matter of, oh, you don't understand, you weren't there. That's a big thing of PTSD and loneliness is They are fighting things that we have no idea, that we've never seen, especially a kid like me. But the fact is, there are people that have. And that's why a lot of homeless veterans, you don't see one homeless veteran, you see camps of them, literally camps of homeless veterans. And so the entire idea of Give a Buck, again, is to build a veteran campus where they can have everything that they need all in one spot without having to worry about their next meal or their next house.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Oh my gosh. I really, I see the vision. I feel your passion. And, we at Just Wish Foundation, Lorenzo, we're just glad that we're having this opportunity to help you as you start and really help change the world. And we are so moved by your passion to really help, to really study what needs to be done. Because as you said, it's not as simple as just, donating or giving somebody, short-term help. This is really about the big picture and the long-term help that these men and women truly deserve. So we truly applaud you. We commend you, and Mr. Jack Wu, our founder, who's very passionate about veteran causes. We would like to help through a monetary donation, and we are just cheering for you as you move forward and make a difference in the community. Thank you so much, Lorenzo, and more power to you. God bless you.
Thank you for having me, man.
Thank you. Bye. Thanks, Lorenzo.